Hello, in this episode, we are going to talk about home birthing, specifically in Singapore. So, home birthing is something that I personally is very interested in, and I was thinking that if ever I go through pregnancy and I will be going through the birthing process, I would want to opt for home birthing. But I know that in Singapore, it's a very rare occurrence. Most people don't opt for home birthing, and I was also clueless about the administrative and logistics. So when I knew that Constance has opted for that and she has gone through that, I was very excited and I wanted to have her hop onto a call and have a conversation. So in this call, we basically just have a chat. There's no specific direction. I was just asking question about whatever comes to my mind, and there are many moments whereby I was speechless. I was in disbelief about how difficult or how ridiculous it is to actually have to do certain things just so that it is possible to have that process in place. So and that all those have nothing to do with the home birthing process itself, but more of the logistics and the preparation and the administrative stuff that is required in Singapore. So I hope that this call that we have for this episode, this sharing, gives you some information that you will need if you are considering going through this process in Singapore. And if you have further questions or if you'd like to know more, send us a message and then we'll get back to you. I spoke to Constance before. Previously we talked about like pendulum, right? Then
Mm.
recently she has gotten a new role or a new identity in life, and
Yeah.
a very interesting process which I personally in the past I thought about it that if let's say I am pregnant, if I am going to like give birth in Singapore or anywhere, I would like to have a home birthing. But I have not gotten into that myself, but she did. So I'm interested to hear about the experience as well as having her share her experience that might be helpful for anybody who is looking at that, because in Singapore it's a very rare, it's a very uncommon thing.
Yeah, it's extremely small group of people doing it.
Yes. So maybe we can you can share with us like the proceed like the maybe the administrating or the logistic one, because I feel like that's
Mm.
really a problem in Singapore because there's very little support and
Yes,
help with that.
I realize it's even little, as in it's even lesser support as what I originally thought. Like, initially when I thought about birth, it's like, oh, pregnancy, give birth, and probably that's it. Like any other doctor would probably see the child. But the surprising thing that I found out along the way is that even the pediatric, what do you call it? The kids doctor.
Yeah.
There's only one that is, I think one among the few that is willing to see kids that are born at home.
Oh no, okay.
So like everything is like there's no choice, but there's only one.
Okay.
Things like the PD, things like the gynae as well. So there's only one gynae, one doctor that's willing to attend home birth.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I kind of expected that in Singapore, but I didn't expect this extreme.
Mm.
I expect it to be one and only, but like I thought it would be like okay, maybe you have like a few but very, very little options, but I didn't expect it to be one. Okay.
Yeah, one.
Oh,
So now we have so me and my husband was like thinking, hey, Xiao Wei, if we want to have the next one, we must do it like quite immediately. If not later the doctor retire, then we die.
yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, that's future plan.
So actually, it I'm not sure about legally procedure. Is it
Mm.
something that is easy to or like it's a smooth process to work around because like in hospital the moment you give birth already then after that
Mm,
they will be able to certify and then like give the birth certs and everything,
right.
right? So then how does it work when you do a home birthing like?
And that is one thing that we also only discover after the birth of the child. So recently, I think this year, ICA has make it that hospitals are able to e-register online, like register online the certificate of live birth. So parents can actually go to the Live SG app and do the birth cert for the child. But apparently for home birth, so what Dr. Lai mentioned, which is the only gynae that willing to attend home birth. So Dr. Lai mentioned that they don't have, or rather he don't have that permission or authority to issue the notification of live birth online.
Okay.
So what he has to do is to give a hard copy letter for us to bring down to ICA to register the birth,
Okay.
which is a bit lame given that Singapore 3G, digital, online, and every other thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean I am thinking that in this case it's like it's a bit more troublesome but not in the sense that they don't even like recognize or they don't like you know
Mm,
yeah. So because Singapore being a very safe like very everything will just be have like double triple kind of protection or layer. So I'm thinking like there will be imagining or saying things like okay we cannot verify whether this kid is really born by you or like in Singapore or that kind of thing. Like I totally
mm,
imagine having those kind of scenarios. Um which I think I feel like it would be even worse. So hearing this is that okay, it's not so bad. Like as is like you just take the hard copy, go down, even though it's yeah, like you say, it's a bit lame because I mean after you all give birth and then like have so many things to do, but you still have to just physically go down to get a cert. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
so I mean now at least people who are looking at it they can factor this in.
I know it's not something that we know beforehand. Like we really didn't know until we were told after delivery, that hey, you need to go down to the ICA. Then we were like, hey, nowadays can go live SG. Then the doctor like said, no, no, cannot. You need to go down.
Okay.
It's very funny, like it's really quite funny. These are the small little things that I don't think I have seen people wrote about home birth because most people when they write about their home birth experience, they talk about the water birth, they talk about how much the delivery fee is. But
Yeah.
other than that, there's a lot of small things that you wouldn't know until you are in it.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
Because
like really all of this.
yeah, because like previously I mean as I said just now, like I've always been imagining that if I am going to do it, I will want a home birth. So I
Mm,
looking at like people who do home birthing, but not in Singapore. So they will talk about like you say the water process, the
mm,
process of the actual birth giving, but all these things that is more administrative and logistic. I feel like it's a very individual, like depending on which country you are in, and
yeah,
it's the whole planning and the whole process as well. Yeah. Okay. Oh my god.
quite cool.
Yeah, so the do you guys have to book the or it's just because I'm imagining home birthing is also not like you go into a surgery room and then there's a fixed timing, right? So it's like
Mm,
you cannot predict when it's gonna happen.
right,
You cannot prepare for that as well, in a sense.
correct.
That is what
So you can't prepare for when the birth is going to happen because if you are going for home birth, you generally and going for natural delivery for sure.
yeah.
No pain
Right.
relief method whatsoever at home.
Yeah.
So but then there are also things to prepare prior to birth, prior to the home birth as well. Simple things like because during the birthing process there's sure to be blood loss, water loss. They talk about water tap. There's also water that will drip out of you when you are stepping out as well.
Yeah.
So protection layers
Yeah.
have to do it properly, have to pre-plan properly. You may have to set up beforehand as well. Then there are also things like if you are hiring a birth photographer, then you will also need to prep the area to look nice lah.
And so this like because I imagine not just the photographer, but like there's some assistant in in the procedure, right? Like is it the gynae is there or like the like
I would say that assistant will be, I think, what they call the delivery assistant, but we most countries tend to call them doulas. So
hmm,
doulas are definitely, I feel like they are definitely required to be around. I am not too sure if Dr. Lai allows a home birth without doulas, but I hired a doula team to be with me. So they are, I would say, the only person, the only people that are around to support the birthing person.
okay. So I am also imagining because it's not something that is predictable or planned for. So basically they are on a on call kind of standby
Right.
thing, right? Then okay, I this definitely did not happen to you, but I'm also just imagining if right, two
Mm.
person uh call them at the same time to say that they're gonna give birth or like how do they actually work around this thing because it is not predictable. And then if two-person has engaged me to like okay help in their birthing, then how does that oh
It sounds chaotic, right?
yeah, it's like if let's say person A call me say that hey I'm giving birth now already, then person B also just nice giving birth, then like how does that oh my god.
Okay, so the interesting thing that I was being told by my team of doulas is that yes, there are babies that have the same estimated due dates or guest dates, but somehow the babies kind of arrange around each other that they never had to be in like two births consecutively, like that parallel.
Got
So
it.
it's kind of like nicely placed. So somehow or rather by
Right,
the
it's a divine planning thing.
yeah divine planning.
Okay, okay.
But okay, so that's the joking part lah. Then the administrative part is of course for doulas. If I'm not wrong, I'm sure they work on a tag team basis. So there's always this main person. There's always a secondary person who will back up if the main person cannot make it.
Ah, okay, okay, then that makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, because
Mm.
I heard a team, then I was thinking, is it that a whole team is here, or is it that the team you're working with a team of them that anybody can come and support you, that kind.
I think it's more of a main person and a second person because
Okay.
when you hire a doula, you also want that particular person because you feel like that doula is safe, gives you sense of security and able to help you versus say another person on the team. So
Yeah,
you want that main person for sure.
yeah, got it, got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking there's any more logistic or administrative questions to ask or talk about because I am also very interested to hear your own personal experience. Like, do you have
Mm.
more logistically or administrative area of information or things that you feel like it's important to talk about or
Let me see, logistically or administrative. I'm looking around my house trying to remember what is it like before that. Um, I think more or less should be about it because things like knowing the timeline of switching to Dr. Lai, for example, I think that's also important. Like you don't want to he has a certain time frame of when the mother by week, I think it was week 24 or 26 thereabout that needs to see him so that he can like talk to them about home birth, preparing things for it. Then of course there's also the administrating staff of searching for the birth team that you want to work with. I think a team is very important because you are like birth is a very intimate experience. You want to have people who you trust to be around. So interviewing doulas also take time.
hmm,
Finding out who you are comfortable with. That's the main thing that I did as well.
okay. Okay.
Mm. Oh, and I guess another part is about talking to the birth partner. The
Hmm,
birth partner has to be supportive.
yeah. Yeah, of course. Okay.
Because especially for home birth, the birth partner is a lot more hands-on as compared to a hospital birth.
Yeah.
So whoever the partner is must be able to agree and be there to support in times of vulnerability as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think that's a good segue into that because now I'm also wondering whether
Mm.
the process of having your partner be into this, like, is it um the moment you suggest he's like, okay, let's do it, or is it like there needs to be certain, convincing, persuading, or enrolling the idea?
I think thankfully for me, my husband is very supportive of me. So
Okay.
when we did the interview with the doula asked my husband like, oh, are you supportive? What do you think about it? And his reply was, oh, as long as she feels safe. I
Okay.
think he knows that safety is very important to me. So he's extremely supportive, and he apparently turns out to be someone who could handle like crisis moment. I would say birth is quite a crisis moment,
Yes.
and being able to stay calm and collected
Hmm.
while getting things done and being able to see your uh partner, the birther, being in pain. I think that's not easy for most men.
Yeah. And would you would you would you think or consider that actually this experience strengthens the couples or like the partnership between the two of you?
That's a very good question. I would believe so.
Right. Yeah, I'm also imagining like if in such a situation, I think it's a bonding experience that is
Mm.
a shared experience that nobody else or you cannot create or recreate or like cannot intentionally create something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
because there's like pain involved, no, there's what's involved is seeing your partner in pain.
Yeah.
So I think that helps to strengthen, or I think gives a different depth to the relationship. It's like for me, I see that or I realize that hey, my partner really can support me,
Yeah.
whether if it's by words of encouragement or really by preparing the things. Like I know that I can trust him. I think that trust can be carried into say parenthood as well.
Yeah. And okay, now I'm also thinking like not your case, but if let's say someone else's case whereby they had the
Mm.
opposite experience, I feel like it's also
I wow.
kind of I was like, oh, imagine
It
if crisis moment whereby the two couldn't come into like
cannot they cannot work together, right? The both of them.
yeah, oh, that's
That's
also
quite sad. I mean, okay, if that really were to happen to me, I think that would have destroyed my entire birth experience.
yeah, and I don't think it's just the birth experience because I mean, okay, I'm imagining myself in the situation that if let's say I am in that situation, right? I'm it's really like you said, it's a crisis, and I would say
Mm,
it can be traumatic, right? And
mm.
I would be holding that trauma, like I would be like thinking about or I'll be suffering from like PTSD from it.
Like, oh my God, I can't even trust my husband to do this,
Ah,
you know. Okay,
okay,
so that's the home birth part lah. Of course, you talk about birth traumas and all that, above and beyond
yes,
other things. Talk
yeah,
about like anything can happen, even for home birth, even for hospital birth as well.
right. Because I mean we we are both we both work around the same thing. So like trauma is not something that is new to us. So
Mm,
if you are listening to this and you feel like, oh, like it sounds very scary that trauma everything, but basically trauma happens when our body experience something that is out of the norm or out of the usual or
mm,
something that the body deems to be not in a safe, manageable, comfortable situation, right? So birthing itself, where even if you have the best team and everything, it can also be traumatic for the body because it's not familiar.
mm.
before, or it's not the norm. Yeah.
It's a
So
huge physical work after all.
yeah, yeah. Okay. I feel like I'm just in a lot of like uh I'm in a space whereby I'm in like wow, like there's so many things I hear. I'm like wow, wow, wow. I'm starting to like, okay, what else do I want to ask and like hear, right? Um okay, so we spoke about your husband, your partner, then like is there anything that stood out for you personally in the process, or like maybe generally how's your experience like?
I would say that to disclaimer, I also not say I was more of like I had a very idealized kind of a birth experience that I envisioned. But it obviously didn't turn out to be that way. Also because I realized that I'm not that kind of person.
Mm,
Okay, so to put it into context, I was telling my doulas that, oh, like, they will ask what kind of birth experience that you want, that you are envisioning. I'll say, oh, I want this gentle birth, like very calm, very happy, that kind of stuff. But I was like screaming my head off. I was like groaning, like, in a very loud manner. So I'm like, totally opposite of what I wanted to create. But
yeah.
after which, we also realized that actually it's just not me.
Mm,
It's how to say, it's not that it is someone that I want to be, but maybe it was like I feel like it has to be that way, like more or less a home birth equals to gentle, equals to calm, equals to, in a very nice, flowy environment. But me as a person, I'm more loud,
mm,
I'm more probably chaotic as well.
yeah.
So it's also about accepting, I feel like it's also about accepting who you are as a person.
Okay.
Mm,
Actually, when you say this, right, is it okay if I share about the Reiki part thing?
mm, mm, mm.
So Constance, before the birthing, Constance came to me, and then I did a Reiki sending for her birth process, and it's very interesting because during that thing you mentioned the word empowered. So
Right.
I was really imagining like a very powerful kind of
No
birth.
wonder.
When you say you want a gentle, I'm like okay, okay. I mean like it can coexist, but I did not imagine that like
Maybe, maybe. I think okay, because at that point in time when you were what's it, streamlining the Reiki for me, you asked for a couple of words. So I thought that the words that are more like what I really want to bring out through the experience is really empowerment.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it gets to there like powerful, transformative, but empowered.
Perhaps that powerful or the empowerment that you is not just about being gentle
But I
because
think okay, it
being
still turned out great.
like
Yeah.
like embracing your own the parts of who you are, which like you say is like not soft, like loud and everything, which I feel like it sounded, at least to me, a lot of alignment,
Mm, mm, mm.
congruence in that empowerment, and then like the loudness and the powerful.
Yeah. So I like that. Even though it didn't turn out the way that I idealized, but it still turned out to be the kind of experience that I want. It doesn't sound like it makes sense, but yeah.
I Okay, so I feel like it makes sense in a way because you have done work on yourself
Mm,
to to have the awareness to say that okay, this is the ideal situation, but you accept the experience of whatever comes through,
right, yes.
enjoy that process of what comes through. Yeah, and I think that is something important also, as you mentioned, that the the envisioning of the ideal situation or vision, because the you said during the interview the doula will ask, and I am assuming that as humans we all have the tendency to think of ideal situations.
Mm,
But yeah, knowing and also being prepared that the process the actual process itself may or may not be close to what you ideally imagine. It's
Mm.
something to to prepare for. Yeah. Okay.
How did it turn that way?
um, I don't know how it turned that way, but I feel like this is also a very important point for people to hold when they are going into that process. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but I would say that trust the surrender into who you are, that sort of thing, it's very much not just in home birth, but also in natural birth, in natural unmedicated birth, which can also happen in hospital.
Yeah, yeah. I do I do hear of I mean friends or friends friend or like some like my friends clients or whoever that they are more into like a holistic birthing or things like that. So before the birth, whether it's at home or hospital, they do prepare themselves. Like for example, you look at Reiki and probably other things that you have prepared, and then
Mm,
they other things that I heard are like they go into like learning about breathing techniques,
yeah.
then like they go into meditative state, and yeah, do you want to share if there's any other things that you so called prepared or prepare
So
yourself?
that's also the part where I thought I would do it, but I didn't. So okay, that falls into it. Breathing,
Uh,
breathing techniques. There's also okay, breathing techniques. I did do, I did breathing, which is not very difficult. You just deep breath in and out, going with the intensity. But there's also this part of birth that's called hypnobirthing, a little bit of hypnosis and all. I wanted to do that, but I didn't. So
okay.
that throw another part of the ideal away.
Okay.
So preparation wise, like what you mentioned, breathing is one. There's also other sort of preparation that I feel is very important, but it's not just for home birth.
Hmm.
Like this is for birth in general.
Hmm.
Things like preparing the perineal area for stretching so that you don't get tears. So I'm the one with no tear. I'm the one that can walk like just hours after birth.
Hmm.
Macam a bit like nothing happened afterwards.
Okay.
But that takes a lot of preparation. I think it takes determination and it takes consistency to keep doing the perineal massage or the epino on a daily basis.
That
Those
is
things.
all that, right?
Mm.
How long do you do it for?
I started from week 36, so that's for a full month.
Okay. Okay, actually having said that, I asked that question, but I think you need to bear in mind that every body is different. And
Yeah,
maybe for you is that period of time, but someone else needed a longer or someone else needed a shorter time is enough.
possible.
So I think just a disclaimer that like it's just a reference point, not like okay, that is the duration to do.
And also medical disclaimer, it depends on whether if your gynae approve it.
Yeah.
My gynae, Dr. Lai mentioned to start from 36 weeks.
Mm,
Some may not say to start so early as well. So it really does
ah,
depend.
okay. Okay. I, I think the amount of things that you prepare also help in um supporting you to embrace and flow with that process when it didn't turn out the
Mm.
way you think it should, or like the way you envision, not that you think it should, like the way you ideally hope for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like there's physical preparation, there's the mental part. I
Mm.
think my entire pregnancy journey, I held on to the mantra of trust my body, trust the baby, and trust the process.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, by now they might not be able to access that, but because I already have been following you, so when you are in that process, I do see the things that you share, and I felt like um the whole process was very flowy, very ease. Like there's a lot of ease in it, and there's a lot of growth and learning. And
Mm.
from where I am reading the stories, yeah, and I felt like there was a lot of insights that um may not be accessible if not for that process, that pregnancy process.
I believe so, which is also why I really like my birth experience a lot. And I really feel that home birth is that one journey that can bring something different from a
Mm.
person.
Ooh.
What lands upon you?
Actually, from the start, the moment so before we click the record button, we did chat a bit. So just the background story. Then after the moment I start recording and then we start talking into it, right? Um, I I felt like I'm just in a land of wow, 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 because it was it was very intentional that we did not go into what we want to talk about before we click the record button. So in a way, I felt this when I click the record button, I'm receiving a lot of information that wows me and my body, and then I'm like struggling to think of things to ask or say so that like we can bring out more things, because I'm like a part of me is just like, oh my god, like can I just like sit here and listen, but then I also I'm also being mindful that because I want to bring out experiences, I want to hear a lot more things from you, then I'm like constantly trying to think of like, okay, what else to ask. Yes, so I might need to your support in this, that if you have anything that you feel like you want to share, then also just throw it out, because I think
Mm,
at this point I'm I'm in a space of like, whoa, this is so interesting and so amazing. But I also, because I did not go through the experience, so then
mm,
I do not know what I do not know, right? So I'm like, okay, I whatever that I can imagine, I try to imagine and ask, but I'm now in a space whereby I'm not sure whether I there's anything else to bring upon or bring out.
oh, I think if I were to, say anything from my point of view or from where I can speak of, interestingly, home birth to me wasn't just a birth, but it was kind of something that I want to experience to allow me to be very real,
Mm,
like to be myself, to allow me to be who I am. I think it's also stems from the fact that, like, when I was young, when we were young, a lot of us are very controlled, restricted, or being told not to be a certain way. And I feel like this home birth thing that I see for other people can allow me to be that very different person that I always been wanting to be.
mm,
So which is why I went on to choosing the home birth, not just for a uh gentle transition to the earth for this little one that's crying, but it's also more for myself. I would say that it's more of a selfish reason also.
mm, understand. I think you brought up a point about how that there's a lot of things that we are just conditioned and taught to, that the pregnancy, and then you go to a hospital and you give birth. It's almost like it almost sounded so natural, but it
Yes,
was not natural at all. Like, I mean, okay, I'm not saying if you go to a hospital it's not natural, but like the whole there's a lot of things that we are being or shown, um that it almost seems like it's the most natural way, but
it's
there's
like a default way maybe.
it's like so many things that is not natural or not I wouldn't say supposed to be, but yeah.
Default lah. I think default is the word.
Yeah, but the default is actually home birthing.
That is more of like, centuries ago. I mean, I think I wrote that in my post that
Hmm.
okay, I think that's my personal IG. I can't really remember. But the reason why I wanted to have a home birth experience was because I seen somewhere that talk about how our body remembers
Yeah.
things, or we will get like, wisdom that's being passed down from ancestors and generation ago. So I trusted my body that my body knows how to birth.
Yes. Actually, when you said that, I also am. Okay, so I in a hospital, I feel like okay. I just really want to disclaim again, right? We are not anti-hospital. We are
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. We are not. There are really certain situations whereby people feel okay, rather most people feel safer in a hospital.
Yes,
It just
correct.
go where you feel safer. That's
Yes.
really all.
Because I'm also thinking that there are situations whereby because birthing is a very, like you say, it's a very intimate, sacred process, right? And if let's say the doctor or the hospital that you go to is not, it doesn't feel safe, it might actually feel very invasive and very,
Mm.
yeah. So so I feel like that is also something to take note of, and like you say, like choose the one that is safest for you. Yeah, or that feels
It's really about safety, I
yeah,
feel.
yeah.
And also because I strongly believe that uh you can only birth or you can only be in a vulnerable state when you feel safe.
Yes, yes. And as well as the baby, because the moment you don't feel safe, the baby will not feel safe.
Yeah, and then of course the entire delivery process will get stuck.
Yeah, and probably that's how birth traumas actually start. Not like the childhood trauma, but there's a birth trauma that
Mm.
people experience as well.
I think spinning off from that, uh, the reason for I think the reason for a lot of people choosing for water birth
Hmm.
generally is because they want the child to have lesser of a birth trauma.
It's a very smooth transition.
Yeah, because like when they are first out into the world, like into Earth, they are still in the warm, watery environment that's very similar to the womb.
Mm.
It's kind of like I do what I can to bring him the best start as much as I can.
I think the idea of not shocking the environment doesn't suddenly shock the
Mm.
child from like a warm watery to a cold surgery theater.
Yeah, that was the word that I used, like why I don't want but okay, but moving back, context. There's also hospitals that allow dimming of lights. There's also
Yeah,
hospitals that can do a water tub birth as well. So all of this experience can still be done in a hospital environment.
yeah, yeah. So I think all in all, the bottom line is really about having a safe environment for the mom and the child or the baby, right? Yeah. So that's the
Mm,
line that we are driving across. It's not about home or hospital or anything, but the bottom line is always choosing something that is safe, that feels safe for the mom and the baby. Yeah. Okay.
yes. I
Okay.
mean, home birth is just one kind of birth.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay. I'm a bit mindful because when this is out, right, you're probably just hearing it, but we are actually on a video call, and Constance is um actually having her baby in her hand, and I'm mindful, and I feel like I'm not sure whether it is something because the baby was a bit restless just now. Like, do you feel like it's something that you need to attend to, or like which, or there's anything?
I have already done that. He's already latching.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay, then we can take a bit of time to like, okay, let's see what anything else. But at
Yeah.
this point, I feel like anything that the baby needs at this point is a priority because I realized that oh, that's also something that I realized about
Uh,
working with mothers. It's very interesting that I've been working with mothers or like have very close friends who are mothers and into like personal development. So I was saying how like we have all been taught or like conditioned to have our life work around our work.
Mm,
It's, but I feel like it's very right or it's supposed to be that we work things around our life. That means having like for example this recording this thing should be around the baby's timing, around your convenience and not the other way around, which actually I feel like majority of the society are actually in that space of
mm.
having working their life around their work and jobs and career. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really quite unfortunate.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm now because I feel like there's an increasing um work relationship or like conversation that is with mothers. I realized this came up quite loud for me as well about being mindful to work around that for them or with them. Yeah.
Mm, that's nice of you.
I think it's something that I personally have a stand for to look at deconditioning all these things that we are being taught and passed down. Lah. So
Mm,
this birthing thing is also something like you said that we are almost taught that the default route is this. But
mm,
people don't stop to think about what feels best for me, what feels right, what feels safe for me, and things like that. Instead, they will just
right.
this is the route we're supposed to do. Then we just see this person, we go this place, and then we do that. Yeah.
Mm. I would say taking this quote unquote course of action is also part of like a rebellious, like the rebellious streak in me to be purposefully different from the majority of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Understand. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that actually.
Like what rebelling.
Because I mentioned like I get I'm going to do it. I will also opt for that, but I didn't think that it was. But now that you mentioned, I'm thinking whether I always thought or wanted to do that because of this reason also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I just want to rebel. You just want to
I
rebel.
want to do it differently, experience it differently, and also allowing people to see that things can be different, something like
And
that.
things can be different and can be done.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now that's something that I'm now like, is it that?
I guess I guess we all have many different reasons why we chose a certain thing,
Hmm.
and all of them forms the reason.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
I am silent or what because I'm hoping the baby needs more and he's struggling. Funny. It's
Um,
like birth is just part one. There's a
start,
lot more things afterwards.
yeah, the start of.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I personally feel complete in the sense that I don't have any pressing questions or things that I want to hear or know.
Hmm.
Maybe for now, I don't know whether anything will come out or what. For you, do you have anything that you feel like, oh, I want to add on to or I want to talk about?
Maybe one last thing.
Hmm.
I shared about how the home birth, the reason for home birth was really not just about the baby, but it's also selfishly for me. So I guess the main thing that I wanted to bring across to everyone is that whatever that you choose to do, whether it's a hospital birth, a home birth, a water birth, whatever, or even in life, I think do it for yourself because that's when you are doing things right from your heart or right from your core.
Mm.
And that's where I believe things will flow more smoothly when you choose to do things for yourself.
Yeah. Actually, as you share, what comes to me is that a lot of times, for some reason, we are also taught to like considerate, think of someone else, think about.
Mm,
But if we look at the equation, right, is that because you are the one who is going to birth the baby, and it is actually only right and only correct that you look for something that you're comfortable with, or like
right.
you good for you. Because in the equation, we cannot remove you to just make it good for the baby.
Mm,
Yeah. So that was what came out for me as you share. And I think this is not just about birthing, but in a lot of situations whereby we constantly think about something, someone else, but we forget that we are part of the equation to make the thing work.
yes. But it's only when we are true to ourselves, then that's where I feel like everything can gel well together. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's not just for birth. It's like, oh, even your career choice, even your choice of partner, um, who is the one to decide what is right for you? I mean, it's ourselves.
Agree. Okay. Complete. Complete.
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
think that couple of last sentence was really all that I wanted to bring out through the sharing of my home birth
Hmm.
journey.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you for sharing with us your experience. Definitely we will have the link of how you can reach Constance somewhere, somehow. And then
Like yeah, just
yeah,
feel free to PM me, ask about home birth, every other thing. We did talk about the cost, we talk about the expenses, we did talk about quite a lot of things that it's quite difficult to be covered lah in
yeah, yeah,
an hour or so.
yes. And I also feel like that is something that is is more available, like the range and cost and everything.
Mm.
Regardless, if there's something that you would like to find out more, you can feel free to reach out to her and ask her. And yeah, I feel complete. She's complete. We are complete for this.
Yeah, we are good.
And I don't know, maybe we will come up with another episode talk about when about parenting or about
Ha
what.
ha ha.
Before we start the record button, we were talking about human design and parenting. So I have another friend who's very into using human design as parenting as well. So perhaps
Oh, cool.
a conversation the next time around. So
Yeah.
thank you for now. Thank you for being with us here, and then we will talk again next time.
Thank you for allowing me to share too. It.
Oh, the baby is out. Okay, so just now the baby was back facing me. Now the face is out. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And I will stop the recording